them this long think that they had cried out, they had complained earlier before the Vice President put up this committee asking them to take it 3 months now. But having set up this committee and all of those goings on in the state, do we have the assurance that it will bypass, or what will happen to the bureaucratic bottleneck upon this recommendation?
Can you come again, because I didn't get the last bit.
When this committee comes up with its report, is it going to be subjected to the same bureaucracies of governments before they implement it?
Well, I want to say that, yes, we are a committee of government to address the issue of the displaced people of Bakassi, and the government process is the same. I think that what I can assure you is that because we have an agreement, because we subscribe to the International Convention on the Procedure for Addressing Such issues, there is a timeline for the resolution of this Bakassi situation, and it is with that in mind that we deliberately decided to go to Bakassi, listen to the people, look at the situation there, especially the place where these people should apparently be resettled after all said and done. And I hope very sincerely that, bearing in mind the timeline that has been agreed upon, that this committee will submit its report very quickly, and that government, desirous of a lasting peace and solution to this situation in Bakassi, will hasten the process of distilling the recommendations and arriving at its own conclusion and addressing the situation.
Now, one of the things that has come to the fore, one of the things that we know you've talked about severally, is also prison reforms. You've visited some of the prisons where jailbreaks have taken place. You've also visited to see the state of prisons. What exactly is the plan that you have in store for prison reforms in the country?
Yeah, the prison situation is a very sad situation. And as you well know, you will agree with me that we inherited a colonial prison system with the regulations in place, and we are now faced with a new scenario now of high-profile crimes away from the regular, ordinary crimes that we have witnessed in the country. And so the prisons that were constructed definitely did not take into contemplation the fact that we are going to have this level of insurgency, the level of high-profile crimes and the rest of them in the country. By the time we put these high-profile criminals in our jails, the jails are not constructed, it's not a purpose-constructed jail that can accommodate these people. And so there is always this attempt by the criminals who are still at large in the society to free their clique that have been incarcerated. And so when it comes with that, with the level of sophistication that it comes, it becomes a little unfortunate that what we have in place does not have the capacity to contain the situation. And that is why you find that most of the prison breaks that we have in recent times are occasioned by attacks on our prisons, not by any device by the inmates to break loose. But at the moment, therefore, what we're trying to do, given the state of the nation and the level of crime in the country now, is to construct prisons that can accommodate this level of criminals. And so that is why we are putting in place a plan to construct medium and maximum prisons, especially in the 6 geopolitical zones, as a temporary stopgap measure to address the situation. And I hope sincerely that, combined with the fact that we are putting in place an e-prison system whereby we deploy some level of modern technology to monitor the movement and activities of prisoners in our prisons, that will be able to address the situation.
And one of the things that struck one, especially in the Kogi jailbreak, was also the condition of the prison, in the sense that it seemed that we were still using the prisons from colonial times. The prison seemed like it was constructed with mud and plastered with cement. I don't know if if that's what you're talking about when you're talking about the conditions of the prison in terms of it being accessible or being able to access it from outside by those who are still trying to free their members on the inside. Was that what you meant, sir?
Yeah, this is exactly the point that I am making. And the government perceived this situation, saw this situation coming, and put in place a medium prison structure. Immediately after the break, which was occasioned by an attack by hoodlums on the prison, I had reason to quickly run down to Kutunkarifi to look at the situation myself. And of course, I know that at some level, I observed that there was some level of laxity on the part of the prison officials as to their alertness to the environment, and the level of equipment also, especially guns that our prison warders have, certainly would not be able to match the sophistication of the antiques of the criminals. And so I agree with you completely that this prison was constructed with mud. But the steps we have taken now to address the situation is that after visiting the uncompleted prison structure in Kutunkarifi, it is within the current budget that we complete the construction of the medium-sized prison in Kutunkarifi that will house about 200 inmates. And I can assure you that in the second quarter, we are going to start the process of completing the construction of the Kutunkarifi prison, and in a matter of 12 months, that prison structure will be completed. Similarly, we are completing the construction of the medium-sized prison also in Nnewi South, which I have also visited. These are structures that have been whose contracts have been awarded to address the modern trend in crimes and criminality, but unfortunately that had not been completed by successive governments. But the reality on ground now is that we have no option but to complete these structures, and we are taking every step. Like I told you, these are two isolated examples that I'm giving you of very dilapidated, decaying prison infrastructure that this administration is addressing to contain the situation that we face now.
It would seem that the emphasis is more on security of the inmates rather than corrections. Is there a place for corrections within our prison system?
Well, at the moment, because the security of the prison situation and the inmates has taken a center stage, that is why it would appear that emphasis is on security of the prison, because we must be able to put our priorities right. We must be able to know that before you even talk about rehabilitation or correction, you must be able to at least secure the people that you intend to correct or rehabilitate. But that is not to say that the issue of rehabilitation and correction of inmates is taking a back stage. As I'm talking to you, our prison inmates, within the limit of the resources available to government, to the prison service, about 50 of our inmates now at the moment are in our open university system and possibly will graduate as soon as possible. Many of them are also undertaking courses in elementary education, primary and secondary, and have registered to take NECO and WAEC as the case may be. And of course, in virtually all our stations, we have vocational skill acquisition centers that cater for the inmates' desire to get appropriate skills to be able to effectively integrate into the society after serving their terms. Unfortunately, I am not sure that we have everything that it takes to carry out all our assignments, but I can assure you that this government is determined to just make the prisons what they should be, and that is that they are correctional centers and not necessarily punishment centers. In any case, the seizure of liberty and freedom of any person by incarceration is enough punishment already. And so we are not deviating from the international best practice of seeing the prisons and treating them as rehabilitation and correctional centers.
Well, anyway, let's go back to our security issues. Once you went around the borders in the country, and it was from you, we realized that we have 1,487 illegal routes into the country and 84 regular borders. And with the insurgents coming into the country, some say we haven't done well enough to secure our borders. After that visit, what has been done so far?
Yeah, Suleiman, it's very easy for people to criticize. Unfortunately,